Welcome. Welcome to Nashik Shikshan Prasarak Mandal Nasik. School name State B.N. Sarda Vidyalay Sinnar, Sankul Sinnar. Subject General Science Standard 6 and myself. My name is Smita Ashok Patore. Today in this lesson we are going to see that why there is a need for the classification of living things. Why it has been important to classify each and every living thing. So let's start our lesson. Here I have given you that there is a picture for you. In this picture, if you observe, there are different types of plants are there. Some are small, some are big, some are short, some are slender. So all these plants are there. And if we want to study these plants, how we can study these plants? We are not able to study each and every plant separately. It will become very difficult for us, and each and every plant is made up of stem, leaves, roots, then fruits, flowers. So, how we can learn all these things? Why this happens? Because there is a diversity in living things. Diversity in human being also. Each and every living thing is separate. We all don't have same face, or we all don't have same height. This is each and why this happens, because each and every living thing is different, even in animals also. If there are two dogs, we can see that there is a difference between the two dogs. So it was very difficult for us to learn about all these living things. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about the classification of living things, how they are classified and in what basis they are classified. Here now in this also you can see there are some plants. There are some plants like periwinkle, then hibiscus, or some plants are there. Pitcher plant is there, gulwel is there. All these plants are there. But these all plants are different, because periwinkle plant can prepare its own food, hibiscus plant can prepare their food, pomegranate can prepare their food. So the plants which can prepare their food, such plants are called autotrophic plants. And the plants which are not able to prepare their food, that means they depend upon another plant. In this fourth picture, you can see that on one plant there is another plant, and this that another plant is there because it is not able to prepare its own food, so it depends on the another plant for their food. So that plants are called heterotrophic plants. And in this picture you can see that the plant like pitcher plant. Here pitcher plant, what it does, this pitcher plant consumes insects. They depend on the insects for their food. So these plants are called insectivorous plants. हो, हे जे प्लांट आहे हे प्लांट काय करतात, त्यांच्या ज्या जे पिक्चर सारखं दिसतं आपल्याला त्या याच्यामध्ये ज्यावेळेस तो किडा जातो, त्यांचं झाकण बंद होतं आणि ते बंद झाल्यानंतर किड्यामधनं सर्व न्यूट्रियन्स जे आहेत ते काय करतात, शोषून घेतात. आणि न्यूट्रियन्स शोषून घेतल्यानंतर त्या न्यूट्रियन्सवर ते जगतात, आणि म्हणून त्या झाडांना आपण काय म्हणतो, इन्सेक्टिव्हरस plants. We say that plants as a insectivorous plants. Now, how each and every plants has been can generally divide into two parts: the stems which grows above the ground and the root which grows below the ground surface. Plant structure is divided into two parts. Here you can see below the ground grows roots and above the ground grows stem. The root, stem, leaves are the main parts of the plants. From time to time, plants bear flowers for their reproduction. Flowers are transformed into fruits, and fruits have seeds, and seed give rise to a new plant. Like this, reproduction takes place in the plant. So, generally plant can be divided into two parts. How many parts? Two parts. First, the plants which grows above the ground and the plants which grows below the ground surface. Above the ground is stem, leaves and flowers, and below the ground is roots. So here you can see the structure of the plant. Here you can see there are the roots, then there is a stem, fruit, leaf and flower. Leaf of the plant is a flat. It plays an important role in the production of the food. In First chapter, below previous chapter, we have seen that how the plants prepare their food. But the leaves of the all plants are not same. Some plants have a simple leaf. Here you can see a simple leaf like hibiscus plant, mango tree, and some plants have a compound leaf. Compound leaf means what? To one leaf there are many leaves. आणि जर तुमच्या घरामध्ये कढीपत्ता असेल, गुलमोहराचं झाड असेल, तर त्यांचे leaves कसे आहे? That leaves are compound leaves. Then after that there is a stem. Yes, stem, the height, shape and size of a plant depend upon the stem, and the stem of the each and every plant is different. All plants do not have a same stem. So the stem carries out what it carries out, the functions of production and conduction and storage of food. In some plant it has a function of reproduction. How? We have seen that if we take a stem of a rose plant, from that stem a new rose plant comes. So like this, reproduction is also important function of the stem. After the stem, we can see that the part of the plant which grows below the ground is the root. And what the root do? Root holds the soil firmly and anchor the plant. The main function of the root are to absorb and transport the water and mineral from the soil. The roots of the carrot and radish also store food. And now there are two types of roots, a one taproot and another fibrous root. Taproot means only the taproot system is a hibiscus, and in banyan we can see that root systems, and fibrous root system we can see in grass there are many roots, and in the onion. So like that, see, leaves are also two types, simple and compound, and roots are also two types, taproot system and fibrous root system. So all these we have to study in a plant. Each and every plant is different. Do we able to study each and every plant? No, we are not able to study each and every plant. It was a very difficult process to study each and every plant. So what has happened? To overcome this, what has happened, that these all plants are different. Yes, some are tall, some are short, some are very short, some are bushes, some are tenders. So we are not able to find the characteristics of each and every plant, or we are not able to study them. For that purpose, our scientist, the scientist Carl Linnaeus, he was the first who has made the scientific classification of the plant, and due to him we are able to study now lakhs of plants. Why? Because he has classified the plants on the basis of their similarities, structures, their organs and their other characteristics. If if this has not happened, then we have to study each and every plant. It was very difficult issue. So what we have to do? We have to study this plants. So, scientist Sir Carl Linnaeus has made it very easy for us with the help of classification of plants. Now, how the plants are classified? First, the plants are classified according to the size and the stem of height of the stem. First, you can see that the plants are classified into four types: trees, shrubs, herbs and vines. Now trees like mango tree, banyan tree, then gulmohar tree, coconut tree, their stems are very thick and they grow tall and they are very strong. They are thick, grow tall and they are very strong. These characteristics of the stem is only seen in the trees. So we can say that mango, then coconut, banyan tree, all bubble tree, these are all the tree. We will not say that these are the herbs, because trees have strong stem, thick stem, and their height of the stem is also grown. The next characteristics or the next classification of plant is the shrubs. These plants are 2 to 3 meter for their height. They don't grow very tall. They grow only 2 to 3 meters. Their stems are thin than the trees. they near to the ground, and they are not very strong. On trees we are able to climb, but on shrubs we are not able to climb. Why we are not able to climb on the shrubs? Because if we climb on the shrubs, their stems are very thin and we will fall down. The height of their stem is also very less. Then the third one is the herbs. Herbs, they are very short. They grow near to the ground. Grasses are herbs. Then tulsi is a herb plant. Yes, then the vegetables which we take, they like tomato, then chili plant, they all are herbs because they are near to ground and their stems are very weak and their height is near to 1 to 1.5 meter. And the fourth part for the according to the stem and size of the height is the vines. Vines, according to the size and height of their stems, plants have we have seen that plants are classified into three types: trees, shrubs, and herbs. But there are vines also, and these vines, like other plants, are not able to stand on their own. For these vines or these stems or creepers, we have to give support of the things. Other things like how we can give support them by keeping a stick or by tying them to something so that they are able to grow. So the stem of a creeper is very flexible, soft and green. They grows rapidly with the help of support. If we are not giving them support, they will not be able to grow. Their stems are very delicate. So according to size and height, plants are classified into main three parts: trees, shrubs and herbs, and the fourth one is the delicate stem, that is the grapevines. So grapes, you can see vines, grapes are there, then watermelon is there, pumpkin is there. All these things, all these have vines and they grow on vines. They are very tasty and they are very big, but they grow on the vines. So plants are classified into four parts: trees, shrubs, herbs, and vine. This is the one way of classification of the plant. The another way of classification of the plant is according to the period of their life cycle. Yes, some plant grows for 1 year. Some plants life cycle is for 2 years, and some plants live for many years. The plants which live for 1 year, they are called annual plants. Annual plants, we can say them. The plants which remain for 2 years, their life cycle period completes in 2 years, they are called biennial plants. Beetroot, carrot, they are the biennial plants. Sunflower or the wheat or grains, they are the annual plant. And perennial, the plants which grows for many years, they remain for many years, like gulmohar, mango tree, coconut tree, their life cycle is for many years. So they are called perennial plants. So according to the life cycle of the plants are classified into three types: annual, biennial, and perennial. So plants are classified into three types according to the period of their life cycle. Then the third type is according to the flowers. Yes, some plants have flowers, so they are called flowering plants, and the some plants do not bear flowers, so they are called non-flowering plant. Fern, mushroom, fungus, these plants do not have flowers, so they are non-flowering plants. But the plants like lily, rose, periwinkle, then jasmine, they all bears flowers. Mango tree also first bear flower. So they are flowering plants, and the plants do not bear flower are non-flowering plants. So plants has been classified according to the stem and the size, then according to their life cycle and according to bearing of flowers and non-flowers. Like this, non-flowering plants sometimes may not have organs like roots, stems and leaves, but flowering plants have all the things. After this, you can see here some plants live in water. So they are called aquatic plants. Some plants live in desert because they live like that. So in the plants which lives in desert, their characteristics are different. The plants which live in desert, for them, the God has gifted the capacity to store water in them for many days. From wherever they get water, their roots get water, they store. And when they store that water, it been used for many days. And here you can see some plants grow on the land. So some plants grow in the desert, some plants grow in the water, and some plants grow on the land. Here one thing is for you that the world's largest flower is found in the country like Indonesia. The diameter of the flower of this plant, Rafflesia arnoldi, is about 1 meter. So you can see that 1 meter means this much big flower is that. And the smallest flower is duckweed, and it is what? Duckweed or Ulfia. It is very, 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 very small. It is like tiny flower. So there is a largest flower also in the world, and there is a smallest flower is also in the world. So all these things have different characteristics, but we are able to study them only because Sir Carl Linnaeus, he has made the classification of plant, and due to that classification of plant we are able to classify the plants and we are able to study the plants. But this thing also happens with the animals also. Here you can see tiger, then earthworm, then fish, birds, crab, crocodile, butterflies. All these animals are there. Again, these animals are different. How we can study them? So this also we can study them according to their classification. With the help of their characteristics, they has been classified. With the help of this, we can say that the plant diversity in the animals, different animals have developed different shapes to survive in the environment. There is a great variety in the body and structure of animals also. Each and every animal is different, has a different characteristics. We have a different characteristics. Yes. First, the classification of plant which we have learned in the first lesson, the second lesson, that is cellular structure. Some plants are unicellular animals and some plants are multicellular animals. Amoeba, yeast, paramecium are unicellular animals, and the plants like horse, parrot and human, they have many cells there, so they are called multicellular animals. So on the basis of the cell, animals are classified into two types: unicellular animals, multicellular animals. The animals which have single cell are called unicellular animals. Example we can give amoeba, yeast, paramecium, and the animals which have many cells are called multicellular animals. Examples we can give horse, parrot and human being. Like this we can tell that according to the cellular structure, animals classified into unicellular and multicellular animals. Then on the basis of the vertebral column also. Yes, vertebral column, that means vertebrate column backside towards us. What we can say, there is a vertebral column. Yes, if there is no vertebral column, we would have been not be able to stand erect. Kangaroo, snake, hen, human, all these have the vertebral column. And earthworm, cockroach and snail, they don't have a vertebral column. So the animals which have vertebrate column are called vertebrate animals, and the animals which do not have vertebral column, they are called invertebrate animal. So on the basis of vertebral column also we can classify the animals into vertebrate and non-vertebrate. Vertebrate column म्हणजे काय, आपल्या मनकेचा कणा, जो आपला मणका असतो त्याचा जो कणा असतो त्याला आपण काय म्हणतो, वर्टिबल कॉलम. सो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दॅट animals are classified into vertebral column and vertebrate animals and invertebrate animals. The third one, on the basis of method of reproduction, also we can classify the animals and we can study them. There are some animals which give birth to the eggs first. That animals are called oviparous animals. The animals which give birth to the young one, means we the human being give birth to the baby like ourselves. Then Goat can give directly birth to the young one. They do not give birth to the egg. So the animals which give birth to the eggs are called oviparous animals, or we can say that the animals which lays eggs are called oviparous animals, and the animals which give birth to their young one are called viviparous animals. So on the basis of method of reproduction, we can classify the animals into two types: oviparous animals and viviparous animals. So the oviparous animals, usually birds, we can say snake is also viviparous, oviparous animals, and the viviparous animals are pig. Here examples I have given: pig, goat, we the human being, all they are the viviparous animals because they give birth to their young one. See, and the last one also is very important, that the animals has been classified on the basis of the method of their habitat, means how they live. Some animals live on the land, so they are called terrestrial animals. So we are also terrestrial animals because we the human being live on the land. Some animals live in the water. So what we are? We are aquatic animals, and some animals live on the both the things, like frog. It lives in the water also, it lives on the land also. Then tortoise, it lives on the in the water also, it lives on the land also. So that animals are called amphibious animals. The animals which lives on the both land and water are called amphibious animals. The animals which lives only in water are called aquatic animal. And you all know that the birds, usually the birds lives in the air on or on the trees. So that birds are the animals which lives on the in the air or on the trees are called aerial animals. What they are called? They are called aerial animals. So on the basis of this, we have classified the animals. See, cellular structure: unicellular animals, multicellular animals. Vertebral column: vertebrate animal, invertebrate animal. On the basis of the reproduction, animals are classified into oviparous animals and viviparous animals. Like that, on the basis of the method of habitat, animals are classified into terrestrial animal, aquatic animal, amphibian animal, aerial animal. So what you have to do? You have to find more examples of all these types of animals. So I hope that you all have understood about the classification of living things. First, we have seen the classification of plants on the basis of their stem and height. Then we have seen according to their life cycle, and then we have seen according to bearing flowers and not bearing flowers. So student, remain, you have to remain all these things, that there are many different types of living things on the land. There is a diversity in the living things. To study them, we need a classification, and on the basis of the classification, we are able to remember all the information. So, thank you for today. We are going to meet in our next lecture. Thank you and have a nice day.